Here are the top 5 mistakes that I made throughout my career that's cost me millions in sales. I learned over time these different things, but for many years in the early days, I was making a lot of mistakes. So if I'd known these things 25, 30 years ago, it would have made a big difference in my overall. As it is, I've sold hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. I've made millions of dollars in commission, but I could have done so much more. So we're going to start with number one. The biggest thing that I've learned and that I see repeatedly over and over and over is not being focused on the client's outcome, not being focused on what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it, and how they are going to get there. We are so focused as salespeople so often on our company, our services, our products, our features, our benefits. It's all about, we can do this for you and we can do that for you and we've done this. But until you know what's relevant to them, it doesn't matter. And more importantly, they don't care. So they're already shutting you down mentally because you're not talking about things they care about. You're talking about things you think they should care about. Man, I did this for a long time. But when I moved into becoming much more of a consultant than a traditional salesperson and had long-term relationship sales, I started to see the difference. I needed to be focused on their success. And in doing so, it changed a lot of different things, but it made my life much easier. And then over time, I kept running into different companies that I worked with, different companies I worked for that just didn't do this. Everything was still coming from a about us standpoint. And they don't care. Your client does not care about you. They may at some point, but in the early part, they don't care at all. You've got to care about them, but first you've got to figure out what it is they care about. And that's all that matters. So once I figured out that the only thing that matters is their outcome, then everything started getting better. And yeah, a lot of companies don't get it. More often I'm dealing with marketing departments that aren't connected with sales because they're not on the same page. All these types of things. So you as a salesperson, you have to learn to work around these things. Over the last 15, 20 years, I work very differently than often many people in the same company or with that company. I'm not working the same way that they are. Number two, I didn't understand the most important part of the sale. Now, I say I didn't understand it. I did because it's all part of it, but I didn't understand that it is the most important part of the sale. And it kind of goes back to number one, and that's discovery, or what we used to call qualification. What is it they're trying to do? And to figure out what that is, you first have to be able to align with the client, get them comfortable enough with you that they will open up and start telling you, because ultimately you need to get deeper than what they probably know themselves. I mean, ultimately that's why they're with you. You're an expert in your particular area. They need your product or services, but you need to get them past the trepidation of working with a salesperson and be able to get comfortable enough with you that they will tell you, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, and here's why. And then ultimately, you really want to know what the impact of that is. Why is that important? So discovery is the most important part of any particular sale. Number three is I didn't understand how clients make buying decisions. First and foremost, even in B2B, I had no real understanding of how much the emotional, the psychological, the subconscious concepts play into the sale. In fact, they are overbearing of everything else. I always thought we were doing things on logic and reason, and I found out that that's really only support to the emotion. And so now I know, and science has shown, and marketing really uses these things, that emotion drives the want and the desire. And then if that's there, then the logic is what helps support it. Now, obviously, different sales and different products and different services have different weights of how much logic versus how much emotion. But emotion is usually the biggest thing. And without an emotional attachment, the feeling that this is going to do what I needed to do, or the feeling that this is going to make me look good because I made this decision. There's always feeling in there. And I just didn't understand that. I was doing everything based on logic, data, rhyme, reason. It took me a long time to truly be able to understand, believe, and then adapt that the logic and the reason, the data were secondary to the emotion, the why at a deep level. So how clients buy is they're trying to have that emotion and logic and have enough of it to overcome their trepidation, their fear of making a mistake, their fear of spending money they shouldn't have spent, or whatever it is. There's some level of fear. Maybe fear is not the perfect word, but it kind of all encompassing. There's trepidation. And as I said earlier, complacency is easy. They're more likely to stay with, I'm not going to do anything, than to go with yes, unless you hit all the other points and check those boxes. Number 4, I didn't understand how important all my beliefs were. And so even going back to the previous 3, as I learned these things, I learned them, I understood them. And then I realized they were real, but I didn't really have belief in them. And I didn't have confidence in trying to use them for my own benefit. And so eventually I began to realize that my belief in myself, my belief in these concepts, and my belief in the products and services that I was offering all had to be there. If you don't believe in the products and the services that you have to sell, you have a problem. I mean, that's hard to get around. And it doesn't mean you would buy them for yourselves. It's that you put yourself in your client's shoes and say, if I know what I know, but I'm now in my client's shoes, would I do this? Does it make sense? I will tell you that I'm at a point that I don't sell things. I don't promote things. I don't push things in any way, shape, or form that I don't believe are right for the client. There were times in my past that I was put in positions and kind of put into a corner where I had to do that. It didn't feel good. I didn't like it. It wasn't good for the client. I don't do that anymore. I don't have to. I'm not going to. And I am adamantly of belief that it's wrong. And so you have to have strong beliefs in the ability that you have to help your client, in the products and services that you have. And by the way, it doesn't mean you have the best products and services, because your efforts to help your client will often get them to a better solution than what some other company may have had, but the salesperson didn't work as hard to connect and really figure out what it is they're trying to accomplish, why they're trying to accomplish, and the best path to get them there. Number 5, and this is the biggest one, it kind of all encompasses all of those, and I really kind of just touched on it in the way I was talking, but the single one word that matters over everything: intent. If your intent is to make a sale, your job got a lot harder, because it works against you on subconscious levels. It works against you on the logical levels. It works against you in all different ways. But because we're in sales and most industries have more no's than yeses, it's really hard not to focus on how am I going to make this sale? But the fact is, it makes it harder. So your intent has to always be, how do I help this client? How do I get them to their destination using my transportation, the products and the services that I offer? What is it they're trying to get to? Where are they trying to get to? What is that goal, that destination? And what of my abilities that I have to offer is the transportation that will get them there? Once I put all 5 of these in play, and they built on each other, and I learned them kind of over time, and more than anything, I learned them and then they gained weight as I got stronger beliefs in them. It has made a huge difference in my success and in my sales, and it shows. But I now look back and go, boy, if I'd have known this back then, how much money did I leave on the table, as they say? And here's a bonus. Here's a number 6 that doesn't really fall into those, but I think it really gives a good framework when you're looking at your sales. The Jay Abraham, the great marketer, said there's only 3 ways to grow your sales, and I haven't found any exception to this. Sell more people, and we're all trying to do that. Sell those people more. In other words, if you know exactly what they're trying to accomplish, you can make sure they get all that they need to accomplish that. In simple terms, don't sell a suit and not sell the shirts or the ties that go with it. Don't sell furniture. Don't sell sofa and love seat without the tables that match. Don't send them home to go with tables that match their old group. That isn't, now they're out, they didn't complete it. They're not satisfied because it doesn't look the way it did there. Well, now extrapolate that into whatever you do. Are they getting everything they need to really get to their destination, or did you just sell them the main piece and they still have to kind of put the other pieces together? Number two, sell the customers you're already selling more. Make sure you've matched out your average ticket sale, but only based on what they truly need. Again, we're not selling anything that they shouldn't buy. Number three, and this is the big one, and this is the reason that I even get into this, is sell your clients more often. Now, in digital sales and stuff like that, they call it client lifetime value. They call that everywhere, really. And trying to get that repeat, get that customer back in, that type of thing. But even in bigger ticket sales, in B2B sales, in relationship sales, it isn't just getting them to buy again. You might sell a one-time purchase or something that they're only going to purchase 2 or 3 times throughout the career of their company, throughout the life of their company. But those people are also networking and talking to other people that look just like them. So in that third bucket is not just getting them to come back and buy again. It's the referrals that they can give you. It's the testimonials that they can offer for you. It's the reviews they can put on a company's website or a company's page or your own personal page. Number 3 is the one I see get missed because we're so focused up front. Let's make the sale. And then maybe if we're lucky, we make sure we got everything that they should have to make sure that we really did the right job for them. But we often don't think about, if you've done a great job and you've done these things that I've said, which is focus on them and get them to their destination, you've earned the right to ask for referrals, to ask for testimonials. And if they truly get their outcome, they're going to be happy to do that for you. So 1 through 5, more important, but number 6 is something to always remember you're thinking about. How am I growing my business? Which of the 3 ways am I focused on today? Hope this helps you out. That is my goal. If you have read my Why Become a Doctor of Sales Why paper, it's free to download. Please do, so you will understand that not only do I believe strongly in intent, that I want to help you just like I want to help my clients, but that there's science behind it. It isn't just an opinion. There's reasons that you should stay focused on the client. Best of luck and best selling.